שחוקת השופט העולים מהרדון.
Hello everybody.
Hi.
Morning, Dahlia.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Meena. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Gender Alliance Demo Day. My name is Elsa Marie De Silva. We are still waiting for a few people to join in. So please use the chat section to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, where you're from, and which network you're coming in from. Whether it's the BMW Responsible Leader, Bosch, Alumni Network, the GDL, the GLAC, or whatever. So just tell us who you are and where you're logging in from, and we'll just wait for a couple more minutes so that we can let everyone in. And for those of you who came for our Gender Alliance Summit, which was held a few weeks back, thank you for coming back again. It's really good to see such enthusiasm, and we are very thrilled. We are recording the session again, I'm mentioning that. So if you don't want to be recorded, you may switch off your video, but we like to see everybody's faces. And during the pitch part of it, you may want to, or even you may want to be on speaker view, or if you love the network so much, you may choose to be on gallery view, totally up to you. But I can see new faces and new names, so I'm really thrilled to get to know all of you. So one more logistical thing before we begin, so that you know the drill from the last time. We will be going into breakout rooms for the first 5 pitches in some time, but there are first 5 pitches which I've put in the chat section with numbers. So number 1 is the Sophie Chan project. Number 2 is Care for Diplomacy. 3 is combating gender stereotypes through gaming technology. 4 is Dignity Media Fellowship. And 5 is Global Peace Champions. So if you want to be in any of those breakout rooms, just the first one, put that number against your name, so it will be easy for us to identify which breakout room you will initially go to. You can hop later, but for the first assignment, we want you to put a number. If you don't know how to do it, you can hover the mouse over your name in the participant list, and you should get 2 blue buttons, and under the blue button more, you should get an option to rename yourself. So you will see a lot of us, like Carolina Scheinfeld has number 2 against her name. So that's how you have to put it, okay? So anyway, good evening, everyone. Good evening from Mumbai. Good afternoon to all those joining in from Europe. I know Matthew's joining in from Australia, so it's very late evening. And it's very early morning in the East and West Coast. So welcome everyone to the Gender Alliance Demo Day. My name is Elsa Marie De Silva. I'm one of the founding members. There are many of us, but I get to start and kick this off. So I'm really thrilled. So for those of you who don't know, the Gender Alliance, the thought commenced many years ago, but we kind of met for the first time at the Merida World Summit for the Responsible Leaders Forum. And since then, we've done a bunch of different activities. The main one was a few weeks back, where we had over 200 members from over 50 countries join in. And it was over 3 days, 6 sessions, amazing energy. And from there emerged 9 projects, which are totally co-created from those 3 days. And this is what members are passionate about. This is what members want to work on. And this is just the beginning. So we are just testing the waters out here. So what came up from those 3 days are these 9 projects, and which we as a group decided we want to invest our time, passion, and energy. And so we are having this demo day. This demo day is not like other demo days for entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. This is a very different demo day because our 9 projects are at various levels of ideation. Some are far advanced, some are very nascent, but they come from our membership and they are looking for various things as well. Not all of them are looking for funding. Yes, some are. And some may want just small seed funding. Some have big ambitious plans, but they want resources like your expertise, your skill, your time. They may want your mentorship, your coaching, your guidance, or they may want your toolkits, because there are members from very advanced countries like Canada, Germany, Sweden, wherever, who have a lot of toolkits on gender in a very advanced stage, whereas maybe there are countries where we are just starting out on the journey. So we want that alliance and that partnership to happen. So that's just to give you an idea of what to expect in the next 2 hours. So yeah, so that's what it is. And I'm really glad you are here today to join us and just see what's in, what's happening and who's in the room and what kind of projects have emerged from those 3 days. And without further ado, I'm going to ask Armin, my co-host. I have 2 co-hosts. One is Armin and the other is Chi, who you will meet little later. So Armin, why don't you take over now?
Thank you so much, Elsa. It's really great to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces as well. I really think the Gender Alliance is a great example of how we can collaborate across networks, but also how things are emerging. There was no plan. This was not planned out. We had the summit and then things come and one step follows the other. So it's really cool to see this happening. And for the demo day today, we think every good online meeting should start with a good check-in. So I'll be sharing a screen. You can already take your mobile phones, your smartphones out, and enter a website into your browser, menti.com. You can also do that on your computers if you don't have a smartphone handy. Just go to menti.com and there you'll be asked to enter a code. You see the code on the top of the shared screen on the right. And the code is 7007696. I hope you can all enter this and then your answers to the first question. How are you coming into this call? It's Friday evening for some, Friday morning for others. So how are you coming in? So really looking at how you feel right now. Excited, motivated, curious, intrigued. You see the word cloud emerging there, hopeful. So really very positive here into this demo day. And we need that excitement in the breakouts later, where we're going to do some thinking around the projects and develop them even further. Awaken, relaxed, wonderful. I asked a similar question this morning in a different context and everyone was like tired, looking forward to the weekend, but here I really feel the energy, which is really great to see. Okay, let's go further. Let's now focus on the topic. So we're talking about gender, and what we would like to know is, why is gender equality important to you? You have 250, so you can answer now, not in a word, but in a sentence. So take a moment to reflect and share why gender equality is important to you. And you see the answers evolving here. For a better world. Without it, we have an unjust world. Because I'm a woman, makes the world better. Equal opportunity to end inequality. It's crucial for achieving social justice. Peace can only be achieved through equality. So I can lead, shape our country as much as men, for my daughters, everybody's daughters, to achieve their potentials, because it's necessary and possible. No justice without gender equality. For peace, economic and general empowerment. Wonderful. Great. I think this can really feed into the Gender Alliance. And now let's look at the next question, which will ask you really about the Gender Alliance. Some of you have been part of the journey from the very beginning in Merida. Others joined at the summit. Others are here for the first time. So what is the Gender Alliance to you? Again, you can answer with a sentence as well. It's community, it's family, it's inspiration, it's empowering. It's community and co-learning, energy to move forward. It's a professional home, a way to connect, learn, and collaborate. It's a platform, it's motivating, strong emerging network that can have an impact, an inspirational way to meet with equality-driven men and women from around the world. It is a great network for collaboration, a new way to examine how to implement public diplomacy training globally, an opportunity, wonderful dynamic, great initiatives, connecting communities, power and positivity, exchange, community motivation, and collaboration platform. I think this is the right spirit. This is great. So let's take this notion of power and positivity. And with this, Elsa, I hand it over to you, and thank you everyone for taking part in the check-in. Thank you, Elsa.
Thank you, Armin, and welcome again to those who joined us a little late. Good evening from Mumbai. I'm Elsa Marie De Silva, and on behalf of the Gender Alliance Secretariat, yes, we have a secretariat, I'd like to welcome you to this demo day. So without further ado, thank you, Armin, for that wonderful exercise. I feel already energized with everybody's inputs, and I feel we've created a space where people feel like a community, and they can also experience that push forward on such an important topic. And with that, I'd like to invite Mr. Marcus Hipp. He is a board member at the BMW Foundation and one of our staunchest supporters. At Merida, he was at the launch event, and he gave his inputs, and he's a fierce ally for gender equality. So Marcus, the floor is yours.
Elsa, thank you so much. I hope the stability, the net is stable enough here in Germany, Brandenburg, which is not cutting edge. And I'm so happy to see you all again. It's really for a while. And I first have to apologize because there was some rumor that I couldn't join the summit. I was very sad. It was on the one side holiday, but I also had some more family issues, a serious one. So I apologize for that, but it was not necessary in that meaning that this initiative has so much leadership. So why should old gray man talk there? So I was really happy to hear about the dynamic, what has happened since Merida. It's impressive. It's great. I really also like this initiative very much, not just because the topic is so important and the initiatives which are coming out of it, but I really like this, that you know, I'm a Bosch member of the community. I was a Bosch fellow. I'm now with the BMW Foundation. I am very close with the EIC. I love the Global Diplomacy Lab. And I think that's what we structurally need in the future, that we combine our communities to get the structural power on issues like that, which I think has an importance incredible. For me, one of the main things which I have observed within the last 9 months in this difficult time, that you every evening in the news can have a look on differences, how states and regions are governed. And you can also see and learn a lot about female leadership, how different kind of regions in the world manage the corona and the COVID crisis. And this is impressive. And I think this is just one of the reasons Armin asked us to pin in. Why is this initiative so important? This is one of that. You can see it every evening in our news, that more female leadership, I think, really would the world make better. So I'm happy to see so many of you so committed to this, and I'm really curious about the initiatives you will pitch today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you so much for your support, your constant support. So thank you very much again. And now I'd like to invite Lucy Menz from IAC Berlin, who the Bosch Alumni Network is also another big supporter of ours, as is the GDL and the GLAC, and they spoke at the summit. So Lucy, the floor is yours. I think you're on mute.
Hi everyone from Berlin. I have to say that I have like the same problem as Marcus Hipp has, that I missed the summit. I was on holidays and I really promised to myself to stay away from screens. So I'm happy to be here with you today and also hear the pitches of the projects you came up with. Also, thank you so much for this opportunity to say a few words. And I would like to thank, of course, Elsa Marie and the core organizing team who are really pushing this more than important topic on everyone's agenda and who brought together such a diverse and motivated group of people. So this is wonderful to see. I don't know if you are familiar with the Bosch Alumni Network. I'm just going to say like a few words to say, or maybe like to explain why this initiative is so important to us. The Bosch Alumni Network brings together from grantees of the Robert Bosch Stiftung and tries to foster new connections and start new collaboration across programs. And I think that the Gender Alliance Summit is such a great example on how that could work actually, to try and bring together people who would like to make an impact around certain topics and fields and to start working on a joint project, but maybe also like to advocate for a collective cause. So this is wonderful to see, and I think as Marcus stressed before, I think it's so important that we try to bring together different networks, and thanks to bridge builders, as we call them, such as Elsa, but Colette as well, Caroline, Trini, and many more, who are actually members of all or some of these different networks, and try to bring these together. I think, thank you for all your initiative, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you, Lucy, for your support. And really, you know, the Gender Alliance Summit was out of a small seed grant by the Bosch Alumni Network. So the online activities, there are lots happening. So please check it out, very interesting projects. But it allowed us to come together, and there was in-kind support from the other foundation members as well. So thank you, everyone. It really takes a village to make things happen. So, and it is very comforting to know that there are so many people out there who really care about this topic and want you to succeed. And we take comfort in knowing that. So thank you once again, everyone, the BMW Foundation Responsible Leader Network, the IAC Berlin Bosch Alumni Network, GDL, and the GLAC. And now I'm going to ask Chi Noon to take over for the next part, the most important part of this event.
Thanks, Elsa. Hi, everyone. Good morning from Toronto. So I'm super excited about this next sort of portion of the programming. I think, as we've all said, the activities and the energy that come out of the summit and these project ideas are really exciting. So we're not going to do too much talking from here, except to say that what we're going to do is invite the first 5 projects to do a very brief, like short, concise pitch about what their project idea is. And then we're going to go into breakout rooms to spend a bit of time to help do some brainstorming and help accelerate the success of these co-created collaborative initiatives. So the 5 projects that will be going up first, they are identified in the chat, but I'm going to name them for you. So be on standby, project presenters. The Sophie Chan project, number 1, Fair for Diplomacy. Number 2, Combating Gender Stereotypes Through Gaming Technology. Number 3, the Dignity Media Fellowship is number 4, and number 5, the Global Peace Champions for UNSCR 1325. So I'm going to ask Andrea from the Sophie Chan project to get started. We are sharing a link of a little bit of a brief of the project in the chat. So if you feel like reading the text as we go, that's there for you as well as a resource.
Thank you so much, Chi. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to present this here. I would like to share a presentation, although I have heard that, yeah, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. I cannot. So why Sophie Chun? Sophie Chun for us is the woman that stands for diversity, equality, empowerment, and wisdom, because many people ask this. So we're coming from we want to close the economic gender gap. If you look at the WEF gender gap report, you see that the education gap is close to be closed, but the economic gap is big. Yet all over the world, we have many women empowerment initiatives, accelerators, mentoring programs, corporate initiatives that are appearing all over the world. But how do we find them? How do we actually connect women to the existing opportunities? I know so many women who are looking and they don't find what they need. So how can we connect globally the women with the positive movements that are already there? And that's the idea of the Sophie Chun project, to be a global catalyzer for women empowerment through providing the access to existing networks, mentoring and funding projects all over the world to create more future female entrepreneurs. So we create a platform, which is the digital hub for the project. It's kind of a, I don't know, LinkedIn, whatsoever. You can put up your initiative and tag it, as well as women can put up their profile and search. We have different search categories for industry sector, for what you're looking for, which phase you're in. And then Nirembe from Uganda, who wants to start her fintech project, can find the right opportunities all over the world. Our goal is obviously to close the economic opportunity gender gap and to unleash the potential and empower women to become role models within their region and empower others again. What we are looking for, we have a first little funding, so we don't need the full 100,000 anymore, but we still need some money to be able to go the next steps. We want to create and have local and regional ambassadors. We need contacts, networks to women organizations.
And, you can take that in the breakout room.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Andrea. And we can jump into more details as we move into the breakouts. Next up is our friends and the group that I'm connected with, Care for Diplomacy. Trini, 1 minute,
Hi,
please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. So the question is, can we reframe COVID as the chance to build back better? The starting point, an international system which is more interconnected and fragmented than ever before in our history. Global governance is being challenged by increasing competition. In moving forward from the pandemic, we lack a common narrative to identify urgent challenges, especially those needed to be tackled if we are to leave no one behind, as we committed to in the UN 2030 agenda. Diplomacy as a tool through which for centuries states have represented themselves to communicate and negotiate can play a key role to generate consensus for action. But diplomacy as traditionally understood will not be enough. In our view, there are two prerequisites to put this practice at the forefront to efficiently move to a more equitable and sustainable world after COVID: care and inclusiveness. Our team, Care for Diplomacy, includes Carolina, Chi, Dalia, Rocio, and me. We aim to contribute to a more effective global governance through promoting both care and inclusiveness as key values in multi-stakeholder diplomatic processes. That means we are thinking about those of us who are foreign service officers of our countries, and many professionals who sit or should be sitting at global tables deciding on collaborative ways advancing inclusive interests to achieve political, social, material, and emotional conditions that allow for the vast majority of people and living beings to thrive. How we plan to do it? We're looking to first establish a task force team to generate content and lead research linking care, diplomacy, and gender, with key partners such as the Global Diplomacy Lab, the BMW Foundation, and GLAC. Second, identifying examples of cared-focused programs dealing with issues on global governance. And third, developing a framework for an inclusive diplomacy monitor. Are you curious? Let's talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Trini. We've got lots to dig in there. We are moving next to the transformative life skills for children, and I believe this is Tanya who is up.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Tanya and I'm the founder of Blink International based in Nairobi, Kenya. Today I'll be focusing on how gaming can be used to positively influence gender stereotypes. It's no secret that millions of children across the world are using video games. However, evidence suggests that increased exposure to video games is associated with higher levels of stereotyping, sexism among teenagers. Although women are the main victims of stereotyping, being portrayed as weak and often sexual beings, men too are affected and are unfairly perceived as aggressive and uncaring. We believe that using innovative tools to influence children at an early age may have a great and long-term impact on the fight for equality and inclusion. Our solution is to improve the socialization of gender-based culture through gaming, which will portray both men and women as unique, empowered individuals, not limited to harmful stereotypes. So our target children are those between the ages of 13 and 18. Our value addition is that we will include a unique educative component in the game related to child protection, gender-based stereotyping, and SGBV. We will partner with organizations that will provide meaningful prizes and incentives to keep the children engaged with the game. And thirdly, through collaborations with the IT sector, our project will indirectly increase access to digital technologies in informal settlements and other marginalized areas. The primary resources that we need are software developers, majority of whom should be female to ensure maximum inclusion in the design phase, AI experts to monitor and evaluate the usage of the game and the profiles, donors and investors to support our business model, which has been divided into 3 phases. Phase 1, the development of a prototype. Phase 2, to conduct a testing lab. And phase 3, which is the scaling up of the gaming app. So in conclusion, I would just like to pose a reflective question, which is, how has gaming influenced the culture in your home, and how would you like to see it have a more meaningful impact for your children? Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. It's such an important topic that you've chosen to dig into. Another one that's coming up for us next is the idea of the Dignity Media Fellowship, and I believe this is Raju who's going to be sharing this idea with us. And just a quick reminder, if you haven't had a chance to yet select your breakout topic, please do so by clicking on your name and adding that to your name. We'll put the numbers back again in the chat box for everyone. And Raju, you're up next.
Hello everyone, this is Raju. I'm a filmmaker based out of India. So the crux of our fellowship that we are offering is, if you look at the Indian media space, it is by design very much biased towards women, towards students who come from non-English backgrounds, and also other economically backward sections of the society. And this gets reflected in the way the media operates and what gets covered and what gets left out of the media. And we want to break this chain, you know. And how do you want to break this chain? We want to select women and youngsters from non-English medium background and train them in media, you know, filmmaking and digital media communication over a period of 10 months to 12 months. And they come out on par with the professionals who come from maybe well-off backgrounds and who study in very good colleges which they cannot afford. So where do they end up? So they end up in media houses, they end up in social sector organization, they become independent content creators, they also become, you know, the trainers for the communities from where they come from. You know? So the whole idea for us to select very focus on the groups, communities which have been historically excluded from the media education and media coverage, and train them through this fellowship. And we hope that this will also have a trickle-down effect and a snowballing effect in coming days. So at the core of it, we are trying to democratize the whole media space through this fellowship. And that's our idea. And what are we looking for? We are looking for very strategic partnership organizations who run fellowships to give us, share their expertise, what has been their experience and how they have been running fellowships. and also other very strategic media collaborations, experts on media space, experts on education space, because this is going to be a very challenging fellowship as we see. That's it from me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raju. It looks like there's lots of opportunities for people to roll up their sleeves and help on this project. The last one for our first cohort is the Global Peace Champions for UNSCR 1325, and I'm going to ask Ruth to take the floor.
Ruth might be.
Okay. I can't see her on the, just going to scroll through, see if we can find her. Ruth, you'll have to go off mute. Elsa's on mute now as well.
Yeah, Ruth is, her audio is not connected. So
Okay.
maybe we put her in the second round? Okay. Should we put her in the second round?
We can move her into the second round, although I think there are a handful of people who chose group 5 to be in for the breakouts. But we can quickly do that swap. So if you're in group 5, we're going to move you into another group for now. So I want to thank everyone for just profiling their initial concepts with their project pitches. What we want to do for the next sort of 15-20 minutes is actually take the strengths of the networks and in our community and see how we can all help to pitch in and strengthen these particular project ideas. So we'll go a little bit deeper on these topics by going into breakout. And so how this will work is that we actually want you to be able to switch between the projects if there's a couple that you want to be following along because they're of particular interest. We are going to set you up so that you're a co-host after you've gone into your first breakout room, and then you'll be able to kind of switch into another group if you feel like you want to jump in and learn more about another project, or if you've got some resources to add. We've also got a live Google Doc, Harvest Doc, so if you want to jump in there and just watch what's happening in the conversation, that'll work as well. So I think now that we've heard our first 4 pitches, we will move into our first round of breakouts to do that collaborative work together. So Armin, I'm going to ask you to help do the breakout magic. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so Ruth should be open up now. Open up now. The ones who were assigned to group number 5, please choose the new breakout.
Hi, Elsa.
Hi.
Where is Supreet? Why is she not?
Supreet, God knows where she is. I have no idea. I've been like so busy the whole day.
Yeah.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, good.
Good. What is it, 11:30?
It's very respectable. It's midnight.
Okay. Yeah. You look fresh. So Raju,
Yeah.
I think your idea has developed since we last spoke, right? Because this time you were like pretty clear on what you want. So do you want to share a little more in detail?
Yeah, 1 second.
What do you have in mind?
What exactly? I mean, I didn't get you.
In the sense, like you said, so now you know pretty clearly, right? So what is the first step for you to get going?
I think in terms of, I think we want to start this at any cost early next year. So the whole scene with the funding and everything, it's going to have an influence on the scale of it, you know. So if we are going like without that, then the scale will be different. But otherwise, the process will remain the same. So one of the initial, and it's almost like a preparatory ground for the whole fellowship, will be to create that content for the whole fellowship. Because we did the research, we don't have the media-related educational content like almost next to zero in other languages apart from English. You know, there is media, but media educational content is almost next to zero. So we need to like create that whole fellowship structure. Based on that, then we also kind of create those all content that fellows will use, because this will have a long-term effect, because we hope that it's going to keep happening each year. So we need, I think there's a lot of work that needs to happen as a preparatory stage. So once that is finalized and we work on the content, we need to work with each language. If we are going with, let's say, Hindi or Marathi, then we'll have to also kind of tap into all those Marathi experts from the media, who can come in on for special modules, or guest lecturers, or for those things. So that will happen post the content is created, where you kind of map all the experts who will be available for delivering particular specific modules or part of modules of the fellowship. Then I think selection, sorry, yeah.
Do you know how much is the funding that you would require for, like, say, the initial cohort?
Depends on the scale, Elsa, because we did some calculations. It comes down to scale, are we going to start with 15 fellows, 10 fellows, or 5 fellows? That is a thing. But irrespective of the fellows, number of the fellows, there'll be, I think, first time investment in terms of, because we're also talking about filmmaking and also digital communication. There'll be, I think, significant investment on the infrastructure, and there'll be some recurring cost and all that. So I think our calculation, if we are going with 10 to 12 fellows in a year, I think we are looking at somewhere around 160,000 euros. That's our initial cost.
160,000 euros for a fellowship of how many months?
This will be like 11 to 12 months. That's okay. I think we because we wanted that 10 months of fellowship and 2 months they work with an organization. That's more like a guided internship kind of a thing, So if you can even include that, it will be like a 1 year thing.
Hey, how much time do we have, by the way?
We have 25 minutes.
Okay. In my country, I worked with an organization and we provided fellowships for a range of study opportunities and industry work opportunities. And our first instinct was to work out how much money we could get, and therefore how big or involved the experience could be. But we quickly discovered that it was better to focus on making the experience amazing, and the more ambitious that was, the more money we could find. So I think it's really important to define the experience of the internship. And the other thing that we needed to be really clear on was what happens the day after the internship finishes. And when it took a few iterations, but once we could tell the story about the experience of the internship and what happens the day after, then we had no trouble finding funding.
That's a very good insight.
Just for context, the thing about the day after was we had to really ask, will people get a job at the end of this?
Yeah.
And then when we started to say, well, they might, but maybe not, it started to make us change what the experience was. Yeah. So, we, instead of it all being learning, sometimes it was about networking and introductions, and suddenly the 12 months, a lot more time was spent on connecting people into the world, because they can kind of get the education anywhere in our context.
True, very true. No, that makes perfect sense, because I think one of the focus areas in this fellowship is also that it should lead to some, a proper professional path for the fellows once they complete in the media space. That is, that's where the whole success of the fellowship lies. Not in the whole fellowship duration itself. What happens, as I said, the day after the fellowship ends.
In your context, I can imagine other forms of success, like if they finished with a portfolio of writing, or if they were published,
exactly.
Or if they had 1,000 readers, or there's other ways to, especially when the objective is about breaking the chain and in creating media balance. If they didn't have a job but they had 1 million followers in a language, that wasn't otherwise represented, that's amazing.
Oh, that will be insane. I think that will be one of the best outcome you can have. And there is a potential for that, you know, there is a huge potential for that. But I think there needs to be a grooming, then some kind of a training given, because a lot of the talent that never gets to study media in India is they have they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of raw energy, but that never gets tapped through media education. That's we hope to tap that energy through this fellowship.
Oh, another thing is alumni. So if you imagine it runs for 5 years, what does the person who's graduated then do for the person who's now participating?
I didn't get you, sorry.
Let's say this year you have 10 people complete the fellowship.
Yeah.
The next year, they're graduates, they're alumni of the experience.
Yeah.
And you have your next 10 people in, and they connect to the first 10, and it's a bigger group, and maybe they share and mentor, or, you know, it starts to create some magnification.
True.
Which is very attractive to a funder if they know 10 becomes 20, becomes 30, and they start to grow, you know.
Yeah. No, I think one is, as I think you mentioned this point, there has to be some very well thought out effort in connecting them to the existing media networks in whatever way possible. Then also creating this internal network of the alumni itself, of the fellows itself, which will have the dynamic nature where maybe I think for the third batch or fourth batch onwards, it won't be very difficult for them to, you know, get into the existing networks of media space, where I think the previous fellows can facilitate that in some ways or the other through mentorship or you know, other ways.
Also, with a gender lens, what sort of additional barriers might need to be, you know, sort of accommodated? Can you think of things?
Well, I think, sorry, Elsa, yeah, please.
So first of all, he's focusing on 50% women, which is great, because I think women journalists are few, by large, very few. But I would also like to highlight that, you know, a lot of the journalism doesn't take place with a gender lens. So obviously the other 50% can now, because they are in the same cohort, I think that can come through. But maybe you can also have a new program in the sense where you help them think through their unconscious bias. So when they are reporting rape, or when they are reporting sexual harassment or child sex abuse, you know, you see them putting pictures of the survivor when they shouldn't be doing it, or the way they report a rape, or the way they report, you know, any of this with, like, I was in Singapore and there was this woman who got drunk in a bar and then she got raped by another guest. But the way they reported, they never took the victim's name. They did not shame her. They did not put the blame on her. There was no way that anyone felt, oh, why was she there at the bar drinking? You know, and it was her fault. Nowhere did it make you feel or think like that. In fact, all the blame was on that person who committed the crime. So, but I don't see that in India, Indian media reporting, you know, in their reportage. The other one I would like to say is, think about what Khabar Lehria did.
Yeah.
Khabar Lehria is this rural women collective who started their own newspaper. And they've become really successful in their part of the world, right? So one is depending on existing media outlets to hire your journalists, or looking at that model for some of them to even form their own outfits. You know,
That's,
will be a way to give other people who come later jobs.
Are there heroes? Like, are there people who should be ambassadors of this fellowship? People, you know, Raju, is there someone who is an ideal of what this would create?
Elsa, can you think of someone?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody. So all these journalists, the star journalists like Barkha and Faye, they've left their outlets because
Exactly, yeah.
they're not allowed to speak against the government. So they've gone onto YouTube and started their own channels.
Independent.
But maybe they want feet on the street, and your fellows at the beginning might be cheap resources, but they can work their way up, because these people may not have the money to pay either, right? So you collaborate with them. Especially pay.
Yeah, I think to your question, for me, one of the journalists who has been kind of covering the issues which do not get covered by the mainstream is Sainath, as I see.
P. Sainath.
P. Sainath, like he extensively covers all the rural issues and the farm-related issues. I mean, I can only look at him as somebody who can be an ideal to some extent. And among women journalists, I think, of course, Barkha Dutt is there, and even Arfa Khanum is there. Then we have
and Arfa's Bosch.
Yeah, Pai is there. There have been quite some. In off-late, in last couple of years, there have been who have left their established media houses and started working independently.
Because inspiration is, like a powerful part of the experience if those people are connected to that for the fellows.
Supreet, we are working off this sheet for him. So Supreet, you don't know Matt. Matt is from Australia, and we are helping Raju think through his media fellowship. Hi Raju, hi Matt.
Hey.
So Matt, another challenge I see is because you asked what could be other in terms of from the gender framework, the challenges. We are saying youngsters who are educated in non-English medium. So that by design kind of takes us to the semi-urban rural areas,
Yeah.
where quite often the options for girls are very much limited, by the family. Once in terms of educational opportunities or making their life choices as such. So the whole idea of fellowship in itself might not make sense to a lot of parents, because who have a big say in decision making, because neither it's a job nor it's nor it's going to lead you to a degree. How does it make sense? Right, Elsa? What do you think on this?
So then that's a thought. During the 12 months that they're in the fellowship, so that's why you have 160,000, because you'll pay them a stipend.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, so yeah, I think, so then in that case, I think what Matthew was trying to say is first focus on what's the story and what happens the day after. And that way, then you can get your partner. So whether it is Faye or Barkha, P. Sainath or whoever, or maybe all of them, and through them get maybe even corporate sponsorships or CSR to fund that, right? Because everybody wants the skills training to lead to a job, and that is it.
Yeah.
So maybe focus on that. And if you can get those partnerships, that is an incentive for people to join you.
Yeah, I think that is, that would be one good thing. But I think, as you rightly said, we did think where a lot of Indian foundations also can sponsor maybe some fellows, in some ways. That is one.
And even for sponsorship, you can actually get one, say high net worth individuals can sponsor one fellow at a time. They don't have to give you 160,000.
Absolutely.
So you can break out the cost as per one fellow, and that way you get them to fund. And don't only then think of journalism. Maybe in the media, I don't know. Also, Preet, the film industry, would that also be possible, or at this point, no?
So I was there in the initial conversation we had on this particular fellowship that Raju has thought of, and there were certain questions we were raising. Of course, we did think about film and media, film as a medium rather than we didn't talk much about journalism that time. We spoke about films, and we said that you know, there are a lot of practical things that we need to think about if we are bringing in people for apprenticeship of learning on job. And because if you're looking at non-English speaking, there are so many languages. I mean, either we host them or we start connecting with other universities who hold such classes in vernacular languages, and then a fellow. So it's almost like it's Raju Fellowship, and if 10 people get it in different languages, then there are 10 different universities we've tied up with who provide that education in that language. And the fellow can be, it's a full scholarship fellowship where a person can go and study there. That is what we were talking about at that time. So now I was reading the points that you've put in, and we are talking about journalism now. So it's slightly, it's kind of added on to that point. But films, I feel that is the best way of doing it, because actually having a residentship where people come to you and do it, then you can't manage with so many languages, because it is for anyone who doesn't speak English, can be any language. So the best way is all universities in all states do have a department of media, which might consist of films, will consist of journalism, can be different in different states. We'll have to obviously research that, find that out. So anybody who wins this fellowship, which the criteria can be there, kind of gets a full paid 1-year scholarship, paid course in one of those universities in his or her language. And from there, then the foundation comes back and picks up and provides them job opportunities. So that is where the tie-up with various film banners, production houses kind of comes in. So you take them to the university, let the university do the job of teaching them, and then you again handhold them into getting a job. So I feel for films, this is the way we'll have to do it, because unless you want to, like Raju was initially, I think, thinking about having an academy by himself where he will be teaching people, where people, students can come and be residents. But for that, then you only need one language he can teach in. It can't be multilingual.
Absolutely. I think for the first batch, I think you can just focus on one language, because I also look at this model as something which can be replicated and also scaled up, you know. So I think the first batch has to be in one language. Either the way we were thinking, either it has to be Marathi or Kannada, because we have, I mean, for our own convenience, we have offices in Bombay and Bangalore, you know, that kind of becomes easier for us to manage and run the thing. But what you're saying, no, I think maybe once we have done it for the one batch, then the universities will be more excited, because they're also very much operate from a very bureaucratic, because I spoke to 2 of my professors, you know, they said then you'll have to go to the university board and, you know, they get a approval, which again has a very bureaucratic mechanism, and you should be able to pull those strings.
When you design it for scale from day one, and you try to appeal to those big stakeholders, you start to suck the life out of the idea in order to meet all the conventional ways things are done. Whereas if you do it small and prove a concept, then you've got proof of something that's different before you've had to make any compromise to make those links. But it does sound like, you know, you mentioned before the mindset of families supporting, you know, sort of their children or family member in participating, and asking questions like, is there a job? Is there a you know, a university degree? And so one specific question to sort of have an answer to is, what is that value proposition to the families? And then it starts to ask the question, is there a way to get some of the training accredited? Or is there an online provider of some media training that would just complement this? Or is there a little bit of participation in a university experience that creates like a certificate or whatever?
Yeah, but I think that is very much possible, because at least I work closely with 2 universities. So that is a very, I mean, that's very much possible, where a part of the fellowship can be accredited, or like where they get some certificate from the university. That's very much very feasible and doable.
I think that is critical for you, because in India, everybody loves certificates. So if that certificate has no value, then they may not come only to your fellowship. So if you can tie up that one educational partnership, that'll be great.
No, that is true. That is true.
I think this money thing will come because it's under life skills, and right now life skills is big, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's the quality of your program. I think focus on that.
absolutely.
And even more than the skills, Elsa, it is the, sort of changing the conversation of the country through representation and inclusion. And so the story is bigger than just the person having an opportunity, but what they do with, the effect of that opportunity.
And you have to find that one person, like Matt says, the ambassador. For example, I don't know if you were there, but we spoke to Neetu Chandra in one of the artists' cafe. And Neetu Chandra is from Bihar. So she's promoting all the Bihari languages. She's an actress, but she is now started her own production house, but only films in Bhojpuri and some 5-6 languages, she said, which I'd never heard of. And she and her friends are putting in a lot of money in that. So you have to find somebody who's putting money in Kannada and Marathi.
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah. So find those people, and then you want to train these people who can be support staff to those. No?
Yeah. And also even Hindi is an option because I think the reach is higher, which can be hosted. But yeah, I don't know.
So my friend is now I remember, he's the CEO of Star TV Marathi. This guy, what's his name?
Ravi.
Yeah, so he's the CEO of Star TV Marathi channel, and maybe you can also check with him. Maybe what if you did like a partnership with them, for example, under their CSR?
Yeah, I think that would be lovely.
Also pre-COVID, now that we have seen that a lot of people have gone back to their own states, and now a lot of these people might not come back to metros, finding them jobs in their states is something which this can add to, because clearly when we shoot in Ladakh or when we shoot in Kashmir, we take everyone from Bombay. We don't take anyone from there. Locally you'll find one person who will get you permissions or who knows the local language, but the whole crew goes from Bombay. So actually saying that this is going to help in cultivate, states will be very interested, local universities will be very interested, because you're going to bring a lot of, economy. The economy is going to become better. People there would get jobs. That's what happening with Bihar also. Like Neetu, which Elsa was mentioning, she's building the people there to be self-reliant so that the film industry, when it goes there, doesn't need to get crew from Bombay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hi, everyone. I think we're all coming back into the main room now. Welcome back. That went very fast. I feel like we didn't even actually get to scratch the surface in our group and get as far as we wanted to go by any stretch. So maybe next time we'll keep that in mind to be able to go deeper. But we're all learning in this process and trying to figure out how to use these models and these tools in this way. I'm glad we are in agreement that that was too fast. So I'm not going to ask everyone for a big report back because I think, we have the harvest document and there's much more work to be done, but I would love to hear from 2 or 3 people, max 3, just one takeaway from their conversation, something that really will stay with them. So if you want to share one quick insight from your breakout group from one of the pitches, that would be great.
Oh yeah, hi. Hello.
Hi there, is that Ada who's speaking?
Yes, Ida from Uganda, and my biggest takeaway from the breakout session on transformative life skills for children was about digital security, because we are focusing, Tanya was focusing on, gaming for better ways of, upskilling children. So digital safety is very, very important.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really important topic, I think, with everybody being so online now, that we think about, what that means and all the consequences. Does anyone else want to share an insight from their conversation? No, in that case, then why don't we turn to the next round of pitches, because there's another amazing set coming up. So I will put the next sets in the chat. We have next coming up, we're going to try again with the Global Peace Champions for UNSCR, the Gender Alliance Women Fund, the Gender, Peace and Security So White conversation, and the Tech Innovators, and finally an alliance to prevent GBV and FGM in women. So what we will do is again do a very short, brief project introduction pitch, and then we'll go back into the breakout rooms and go deeper on these conversations. So in the same way we did last time, we'd like you to take a look at these. You can take a look at the summaries and then pick an initial one to jump into. And if you have additional thoughts and reflections on any of the conversations you've just had in the first round, please put them in the Harvest document. So I'm going to ask, I think Haroon and Ruth are here from the Gender Global Peace Champions. Would you like to go ahead? I don't know if Ruth's audio is working. We'll give this Global Peace Champions another shot at presenting their pitch. And again, a minute, quick high-level overview, and then we'll go deeper in the breakouts.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Haroon Madena. I'm from Kenya. I'm one of the project manager for Global Peace Champion. So our main agenda for Global Peace Champion is to set the pace for the celebration of UNSCR 1325 for women, peace and security. Yeah, so we will be talking more in detail through the breakup session. Thank you.
Thanks, that was very short and quick. Thanks for keeping it tight. Sylvia from the Gender Alliance Women Fund.
Hi everyone, my name is Sylvia Mukasa from Nairobi, Kenya. My presentation is about the Gender Alliance Women Fund. So the funding gap to solve challenges faced by women is still huge. Just to paint a picture, according to PitchBook data in 2017, only 2% of VC funding went to women-led startups, and on average was 36 times less money than what went to men-founded ones. This is despite proof that women-led businesses actually have better return on investment. According to UN Women, as of August 2019, only 41% of member states had adopted national action plans on women, peace and security, and just 22% of all plans included a budget at adoption, and the funding struggle continues. Our solution is to establish a centralized GA Women Fund administered under the GA Secretariat to enable member-driven initiatives access funding to kickstart pilot or continue operating at scale and sustainably. Our uniqueness is that this is a member-driven initiative providing a platform for initiatives they are passionate about across all thematic areas. What I need from the community is 300,000 USD funding for piloting, connections to foundations, investors and funding sources, linkages to women organizations and networks, and members who are skilled in finance, grants, funds, investments, entrepreneurship, working with women-led businesses, tech and other ecosystems in the wider thematic areas, e.g. GBV, peace, diplomacy, etc. Impact, we intend to fund 20 to 30 projects with the most impact in the next 12 to 18 months, reaching at least 6,000 women and girls. Our vision is to establish a global fund that will enable GM members run impactful and sustainable initiatives with a focus on SDG 5 and 10, whilst contributing to all 17 SDGs. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. I know that I was having a little bit of trouble with the audio, and so maybe in your breakout room, we might want to go off video if that might improve the sound quality, but lots of beautiful ideas there about how we can seed and accelerate gender equality to dig into there. I'm going to ask Miriam to share with us the Gender, Peace and Security So White pitch.
Sure. So our program is part of a bigger strategy of the Center for Feminist Foreign Policy. So our strategy is to highlight why feminist foreign policy is so wide, and the program we are pitching today is on gender, peace and security, so wide. Why are we doing that? So I can talk from my personal experience being a woman of color living in Germany. The space of international relations is pretty wide, and this is like still really surprising because I can talk for Germany, and there's a big migrant community, and there's a big diaspora all around Germany. And so I was wondering, why is that so? Why is the foreign policy still so wide? And this is the same for France, where I've lived, and also the UK. And actually, we already kicked off our program. We had web talks with Chandra Mohanty, Tony Hastrup, Bonnie Jenkins. So really reaching out to BIPOC-led organizations to work with us on that topic on eye level. And actually already the Gender Alliance has worked out for us pretty well. We have already 2 people from the Alliance joining us, Tandy and Imran. So together with Ambika, who's also here in the call from the center, that's the team so far. And we really want to address the issue that it's not just about diversity, it's also about intersectionality, and really changing the paradigm shift, that it's not just that BIPOC-led organizations ask to be at the table, so it's our right to be there. So what we want to do is next year we will have a summit on feminist foreign policy so wide, and until then we really want to make sure that on the topic gender, peace and security, we have consultations with BIPOC-led organizations with whom we can link to our network with the embassies of the governments who already have a feminist foreign policy, but also identifying further windows of opportunity. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Miriam. I could already think of a few organizations I'd love to connect you with. So just a reminder, please, if you're ready to pick your next topic, make the change in your name, add the number beside it. We'll put the numbers again here in the chat so you have them. And I'm going to ask the tech innovators to share their concept with us next.
Thank you to everyone. So, dear partners and fellow members, technology connects people and bring together ideas and mind across borders and culture. But there is a strong gender imbalance internationally in regard to women presence in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics STEM. This is where Girl for Tech and Innovation comes in as a global accelerator learning initiative to support the enrollment of 55,000 young students in 10 African countries in STEM and robotics, targeting in priorities girls. And due to COVID-19, we are planning to start with the online phase from January to March 2021 in Uganda with 210 young girls from primary 5 to senior 6, using the STEM robotic virtual lab of Global S Innovation, powered by HFS Discovery Education and MIT Lab. We will migrate to a physical space by April when majority of the school will open. And we are planning to have key activities, including a career day on robotics and tech, a coaching and mentorship, the training of trainers, and community outreach program in Kampala and Wakiso district. We need, therefore, from the community, mentors, coaches, and tech experts, funding partners to sponsor the 210 account on Global S Innovation, which costs us $10,500. We need also experts in fundraising to help us mobilize $25,000 to support the setting up and the first year of operation of the initiative. And Global Tech financial partners to acquire 100 robot kits and 50 laptops and 10 printers to support the migration to the physical learning in April. Thanks to Girl Are Awesome organization, who is already committed to support the branding and marketing of this project. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to collaborate with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Fermin. I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of amazing ideas out here and a lot of asks that are on the table. So if you have resources or access to those, we want to support these projects and these ideas as best we can. So our last one, project number 9, the Alliance to Prevent Gender-Based Violence and Female Genital Mutilation in Women. This is a focus in East Africa. I'm going to ask Hussein from Empowerment for Development to share his project with us. Hussein, are you still with us? I'm scrolling through to see if he's on the screen.
I see.
Seems to be an audio issue.
No.
Saying we can't hear you yet.
Armin?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Are the
hear
others?
me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we can hear you now. Go ahead, Hussein.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you very much. My name is Hussein. I'm Executive Director for Empowerment for Development. My project title is Alliance to Prevent GBV and FGM in Women and Girls. According to UNICEF, the problems in the project areas are infant mortality rate are the highest in Ethiopia. 41% of children with mothers who have no education or primary education are stunted. The practice of female genital mutilation amongst girls and women in 2000 were 98.6%, and in 2016, 91.2% are practiced. Only 70% of women decided themselves on their first marriage. This is the second lowest percent in Ethiopia. The main types of GBV which we want us to intervene are female genital mutilation, early and forced marriage, limited participation in decision making, right to divorce. The objective of this project is increased community response to promote and protect the right of women and girls in relation to GBV and FGM. The second objective is increased institutional response to address GBV and FGM and provide information and services to survivors. The solutions what we have is we employed participatory interventions. The first solution is enhancing capacity development of governmental and CDOs to address issues related to GBV. The second is conducting advocacy, public education, and awareness campaign using various channels.
Oh, has anyone else, have we lost Hussein's audio? I know the bandwidth wasn't great. I'm seeing that message pop up, but we were starting to get a bit of an introduction into some of the really challenging issues of gender violence that are faced in Ethiopia. Those numbers are just staggering. I'm hoping that he will be able to join us again, but I think what we will now do, now that we've heard from almost everyone in their presentation, is to get ready to do our next round of breakouts. So if you haven't had a chance to yet, I think everyone, we would like to have identified a number, and Armin, I'm going to ask you to move us into our breakout rooms for the next portion of our conversations. They'll be there for 20 minutes, about 25 minutes, and enjoy. We'll see you back here.
And those who haven't, just indicate, or you can also just tell me now which session you want to join, the ones that are not assigned right now.
I mean, you can put me in one which is not that full.
Okay. I'll put you to Global Peace Champions.
Okay.
So you can put me in one that's not that full as well.
Okay, Item number 7. Who was that? Tanya. Wonderful, Tanya. I'll put you to Gender Alliance. Irina, which one you want to join?
7, if possible.
Number 7. All right. Tanya, you should. I did assign one to you. Yep, wonderful. Valerie, which one you want to join?
I'll go for 6.
You go for number 6. All right. Elsa, any wish for you?
Yeah, I'll go to the feminist foreign policy. That is number 7.
Number 7, yep, that's the full one.
Are not well funded, or they don't get a lot of funding at all. But when it even comes to BIPOC-led organizations, it's even worse. So that's why this is such a critical point for me, really, to make sure if we will go on with the strategy, I want to make sure that the funding is sustainable. And what we had in mind is definitely to set up 2 scholarships for 2 research fellows who can then join the whole period of our program, which is about 1 year, 1.5. So we are really looking for funding for those scholarships so we can make sure that our research fellows get paid, but also are able, for their living expenses. Let's see how it works with Corona, where then they live, but this is something different. And also the second point is that we want to make sure that if we go on with the Feminist Foreign Policy So Wide Summit, which we are planning offline and online, that we can create it as inclusive as possible. So this means also spending
to have access and for the 3 months. And we be able to run down the online platform. And by end of the online platform, we hope that we'll be able to mobilize resources to now go to the physical session, whereby we implement in the school and in particular in the community with the robot kit. So that is the rationale of the project. And along the training on robotic, we also provide to those young girls the coaching and mentorship. And we link them with women who has been champion in the STEAM field from all over the world, so they can have a role model to emulate and also guide them in their journey. So that is what about the project.
And when it becomes a physical experience, is it done at the school, after school?
Yes, the idea is we are engaging currently some school leadership to see if that can be part of the school curriculum, so that it will be well integrated as one of the subjects, and also as directed by the UNESCO. UNESCO has directed most of our countries in Africa to embrace STEM, but because of the finance and also the reform that are a bit slow in many countries, it seems have not been fully part of the program. So we try to lobby so that those schools can adopt it as a pilot. So that's the idea. But in case it's not possible to be integrated in the formal curriculum, it will be part of the after-school program.
Right.
Yeah.
Who makes the decision on the formal curriculum? Is there a state?
Yes,
education?
on the form of, yes, it is the education council or the education directory, and also with the media, they call it the Information and Technology Authority, the ICT Authority of Uganda, to work with them.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
So where are the big challenges, do you think?
Yes, well, the big challenge now for us is the resources. The resources to be able to acquire the license for the pilot phases. Because, we notice that in a private international school who are currently online, the students have the chance to have access to the technology, to the laptop, and so on. But the student coming from public school and the community school do not have that chance. So that's why we are looking for funding so that we can support the access for the student, particularly the girls coming from the poor communities, to have access to this program.
So is most of the funding for the MIT platform?
Exactly. And and now for the administrative course, from the course, we are ready to contribute ourselves, myself and my wife, as the initial fund of $3,000, and also try to organize a fundraising through our friend network to be able to raise additional $10,000 to support the setting up and the administrative costs. And we need therefore an expert who can help us on the online fundraising and also using online platform. Yeah. Yes, Elsa?
Hi.
Yes, welcome. I saw your hands.
Yeah. So Kami, I put it in the box. So
Yeah.
there's a box with all the notes. I know Matthew is taking down notes, and I put down over there, Peter Johnson wants to help you. He couldn't be here today, but he said he couldn't reach out to you either since the Gender Alliance Summit. I put his number there, send him a WhatsApp because his wife works with GIZ and she's based out of Morocco. I don't know if Morocco can fund Uganda, but they definitely, $10,000 is nothing for them.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. I tried to engage him. We planned 2 times to have a meeting, but there were a conflicting agenda. So I take his number and I'll get in touch with him. Thank you so much, Elsa. Yes, Matthew.
To engage children in STEAM or STEM, what do you achieve in 3 months of, 3 months of access? It seems really short.
Yeah, the 3 months is for the online pilot phase, and which will be followed by 9-month pilot phase on physical. Because currently, because of the COVID, most of the schools are closed. But according to the information we have with the government, by January, school will reopen. And when they reopen in January, they will take some months before everything's set up. So that's why we're using the online phase, as the government is trying to look at the social distance. So that with the online phase, we'll be able now to provide in some school a ICT lab for the student to have access for the online, while we are mobilizing resources to get the robot kit so they can now have it, the physical aspect, for 1 year pilot. And based on the result and the assessment, we'll be able now to scale up in the other school and also look at the neighboring countries.
And so would you target a particular age group, or would you want?
Yes, the age group, we are looking at the student from primary 5, which are like 9 years to 10 years, primary 5 to senior 6. So from primary 5 to senior 6. Exactly. So this is our target.
Right.
And also, why are we starting with primary 5? Because primary 5 is like 2 years before they move to secondary school, so that they have the exposure. And when they go to secondary school, normally by a senior 2, students have to choose their particular field. And we notice that few girls choose ICT, few girls choose technology. So we want to really help the girls to be bold enough, to be prepared, so that when it comes to senior 2, when they have to choose their option, majority who involve the program, we hope can choose now boldly to embrace science and technology field and pursue their career.
Right. So apart from the money, what else do you need?
Yeah, we need coach. We need some coach and expert in tech who can be available to help us to support the program, because we are having currently here already in Uganda, and also I got already some contact like Tanya who volunteered to be available to support the training of trainers. So we are trying to have a database of experts and coach in tech. And also we are looking also for partners who will help us to organize our girls' robotic academy, because we are planning to have a robotic academy once in a year, with the girls who will be involved in the program. We will select the best of them to bring them together for 7 days, where they will learn new innovation in robotic and tech, but also be taken through some leadership and entrepreneurship skill. So we're looking for partners in those fields, and also people can link us to university or to the tech laboratory. You know, we can provide the tools, because robots are not easy. You know, some of the robots cost like $2,000 to $5,000 when it goes to the advanced one. But if we can have partners who can link us with the company who are producing the robot, who can support us or who can help us to donate robot to our partner school, that would be very good, and to reduce the cost.
I
And
will also introduce you to my friend Keith Kaligira. He is the CEO of the Capital Markets in Uganda, and maybe he can help you figure out some of the funding. I don't know what it is like in Uganda.
Okay, thank you so much.
Do you know him, Keith?
No.
I'll just type his name. I put his LinkedIn profile here. I put it in the chat also, but I will introduce you over email.
Okay, thank you so much, Elsa.
And Sylvia is going to help you, right? With the
Yes, Sylvia. Yes, we are working with Sylvia and trying to really link with potential partners as well, and try to see how we can get some reduced, discounted, so that you can have access to many girls.
Tommy?
Yes, Tanya.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we mentioned the synergies in the last breakout room that we had. And I was just going to say, if you can get the girls interested in coding, they can be the ones to create the video games that we're talking about. Because there's a very small percentage of women in that industry, which is what is contributing to the gender stereotypes. So if we have more of them participating in that, we can influence the sector, you know, proactively. Yeah, so I look forward to engaging more with that. But otherwise, fantastic project. Yeah.
Thank you. That is very true. So that's why, you know, from the pilot phase, we want first to expose them to the STEAM and robotic and identify their priorities. And now we'll start organizing them on coding and also on different other activities. So the first month will be to expose them. And now based on their reaction with the monitors now, we will have now various groups whereby we'll be now grooming them towards their enhancing their skill. So some will go for coding for sure. Thank you so much.
And if you could, sorry, just to add, if you could, we are linking the participation of girls in the gaming sector to various prizes and scholarship opportunities, so that they're not just playing for recreational purposes, but they are going to get some benefit out of it, educational benefit, and also just, you know, linking to these opportunities that ordinarily they wouldn't have had, you know, to increase their participation.
Thank you.
We can link up on that.
You are very right. You know, we have not developed fully the concept note on the different challenges, but the ideas behind them is to offer to the winners an opportunity to have an immersion. You know, an immersion, for example, in a country who is quite advanced, who has a good tech system for them to learn more, and also to have scholarship for those girls who want to pursue their career in this field, to get some scholarship from universities or from tech institute abroad, so that that will really emulate others and also encourage parents. Thank you for that. Yes, Matthew, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm just thinking, and I'm just thinking.
Okay.
The way that you describe the program, to me, just an impression, it sounds less about trying to accomplish educating someone in the STEAM fields, because that's you'd have to teach them from the beginning to the end. And it seems more like inspiring them to want to themselves study it later. And so if the objective is to teach STEM, that's very challenging. If the objective is to inspire students to participate in STEM, that's very focused. And it would be interesting if you exaggerate that idea and say, what inspires STEM or STEAM in our target, in those target grades, that might look different to just providing the training. And so when you talked about things like the coaching and the mentors, and then being able to see people who are like heroes and idols in that space, that to me, I was thinking, well, that would be very successful in having girls choose those fields, or, So I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah.
You're right, Matthew. In fact, when I talk about the training, that is the first step, is to give the access, because currently majority, I would say 85% of the girls do not have access, and also some of the boys as well. So first step, we want to give the access through the training, available the learning. But inside the training, we are focusing on coaching, mentorship, to stimulate them, inspiring them, and connect them with heroes, models, role models who are champion in this field, for them to project themselves, to see, it's possible for a young girl to become a film producer and to earn billion, because it's working, it's happening on their doorstep, but they're not aware, because the narrative in the social media, in our communities, does not bring forward those women who are in this field, and there are very few. So that's why we want to have the comparative advantage of women in this field from all over. And that's why we want to use the online platform to really also tap on the expertise of women in various countries, so that it will not be just in Uganda, in Ghana, or Kenya, but also women in tech, women in science from Abu Dhabi, women in science from Romania, from Algeria, from Mexico, who will be inspiring them. So during the session that we plan to have on the phase 1, for example, the mentorship and coaching session, will connect women from different parts of the world with the girls involved in the program, so that they will get that opportunity. Yeah. And based on the talent that we identify now, we now organize tailored program for them. So this is where now some of the girls will be oriented through the coding. Some will be taken through the Finca lab, and some will taken through the electronic lab, and so on. So that we will now develop various programs based on the exposure, the outcome of the exposure during the pilot phase. Exactly. And also some will be taken through the art and the visual art and the communication skill, because that also is an area where we need also many women, because as much we have more women in those fields, the mindset will change, and they'll also help us to address some of the stereotype of gender inequalities in those various fields. Exactly.
Kami,
yes.
One suggestion is, I think you need to put a concept note,
Yeah.
because now what you put on the Padlet, then what you put on the, the PowerPoint today, they are slightly different. So your idea is evolving, but I feel when you write it, often it becomes clearer to you, but also then it's a document. It can evolve, but the thing is that it's easier to explain what is the phase 1, what does phase 2, and then you make your budgets, approximate budgets also for those phases in a way, so that people understand your concept, because there really is a very ambitious plan, right? With all these robotic challenges and the policy and advocacy work, which you mentioned on the Padlet, but I don't see here.
Yeah.
So maybe put it like as a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year plan. Like, what's your vision for this? Because it's not going to happen overnight, right?
Yes.
And you currently have some partnerships emerging from within the network itself, but there are some you need externally. So that needs to be like, if you can already show those partnerships, then maybe it's easier to get funding from outside. But I think your project is great and it will get the funding, but you need to have your concept note ready.
Thank you, Elsa, for this advice. I've been working on the concept note, as you notice. That's why what was in the Padlet has evolved. So I was expecting also from this demo day to get feedback, also to enrich. And after, I'll share with you and for all the members interested, so that we can also review it accordingly and have a better understanding and have it in a different phase, as you rightly put. Thank you for that advice.
Respond, the BMW accelerator, it has, I think, a tech component to it. I think that is the requirement, and yours has that requirement, but it will only open up in a few months. So you have time to refine your concept note, build some kind of proof of concept. Like if you can show X number of partnerships or alliances, you know, do your groundwork so that if that opens up, that's another source of support for you on this project.
Okay. Thank you so much for the advice.
I guess one thing I can offer is that I only heard about this today, so I can tell you my impression, and then that's like one example of an audience, and then you've got other people. But when you described it, it sounds like there are many possibilities which can feel onerous. It can feel, you know, like too much. And then slowly as you describe it, I start to see there's a core idea about exposure and access and inspiring. And then there are all these pathways that extend from that. It's a bit like if the idea was a coffee shop, you know that the core idea is coffee, but then maybe you sell cakes, and maybe there's, you know, there's all the pathways beyond that, but there's the core idea. And I think even just, instead of it just being a list of all the possibilities, if you said the core idea with the pilot phase, and then the things that can grow out of that, then it helps it feel more, you know, like you can wrap your arms around it. It feels easier to say, yes, I want to invest in that.
Thank you, Matthew, for this feedback and advice. Noted. I will refine them, and I will get back to you. And I'll need your support in terms also for editing.
I'm happy to. And, you can email me as much as you like.
Thank you so much. Any other last comments?
Perfect timing by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all of you for your input, your advice. They are welcome, and I really appreciate. It's giving me also much energy to believe that this is something that is worthy, that we can keep working on. So
it's great.
Back to you.
Great. Yeah. Great project. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're all just about back in. I want to actually also acknowledge that this 2-hour chunk of time online is a big commitment for everyone, especially across time zones, etc. So I want to thank everyone for being here with us to learn about these projects to help us accelerate our work. I think it's really, you know, a real honor to have you with us through this time. That next 25 minutes also flew by very quickly. We have a couple of minutes before we close out. So I thought what we could do is to just hear a couple, takeaways from this round, from this second cohort of projects. So one or two things that people really will stay with them from the conversations.
I think I'll go. Yeah. So
Thanks,
so I was in this global peace building project by Harun. I think for me the point was that the whole project is aiming at creating this policy making in an organic way, where the real stories and the real people who are at the core of the conflict are involved in the whole policy making, and that was I think one big takeaway.
Does anyone else want to share an insight or reflection from that second round, Carolina?
So I think the connectedness of our projects, like we went to Miriam's and Lynn's session on Why So White, and it's definitely connected to Care for Diplomacy. So I think it brings us all together. So I just changed my name to 2+7.
Thanks. I'll invite one last comment on that second breakout. If there was something in one of those projects that really is going to stick with you. In that case, what I would like to do next, and I'm sorry we didn't prep any of the project leads for this, but what I would love to do now is we're just going to run through the 9 projects, and we're going to ask for one next step, either a commitment out of today or what you want to do after this, like lots of inputs and lots of rich ideas out of the conversation. So we'd love to just hear one thing that's going to come next for you out of based on what's happened this morning, afternoon. So we're going to go first with Andrea. Your one commitment, one next step for this work.
Hello. Our next steps will be like creating the network, sending out more emails to all the people I connected here now, and then obviously we go on fundraising. We talk to a lot of companies as well. And because many companies have women empowerment programs in place and want to kind of also share it with the world. So yeah, so we're looking between sponsorships and philanthropic money, and also at the same time build the community and the platform. So at the moment it's kind of startup phase. Everything happens at the same time.
Thanks. That's many balls in the air for you right now with your team and this particular project. Care for Diplomacy, one next step from this, and I'm going to ask Carolina because I think Trini I can't see if she's on the call.
No, she had to step out. So building bridges, continue to build bridges. So that's our next step between projects and between networks. So you'll be receiving a survey as a first step, but yes, we will be building bridges.
Thank you. Transformative life skills for children. I'm looking for Tanya. Go ahead. Next step.
We're going to create the data collection tool. Look for software developers to help us refine the idea, and look for donors and investors.
Amazing. I think that work is going to have incredible global impact. So thank you for that leadership, Tanya. The Dignity Media Fellowship.
I think connecting would be the only word. Connecting with like-minded organizations will be ready to partner with us, and also create content for the whole fellowship program. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Raju. Global Peace Champions, Harun, what's your next step?
Hello, everyone. So our next step, I've been provided with some link whereby I can get some participants from Asia, Europe, and some parts of the world. Also, we agree that I'll be linked to some of the experts, mainly the policymakers. Also, I've talked with my friends. He'll support me more concerning issues of filmmaking. Yeah, so we will collaborate across the border to make sure that the Global Peace Champions achieve its objectives of engaging women within the sectors of women, peace and security. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haroon. That's great. Sylvia, let's hear what you got next for you.
Okay, so working with the Secretariat to put some pieces of how things will function in place, and then also following up on some leads, potential leads on how to get funding from the different for the different initiatives.
Amazing. Gender, peace, and security. So white, Miriam.
So our next step will be to set up a next call with all those people who are interested in the topic. And then during the call, we'll identify BIPOC organizations that like to join us. And then we definitely have to look for funding for the scholarships for our BIPOC fellows. Yes.
Great, that's a really clear next set of instructions. Tech innovators, Fermin.
Yes, for Girl for Tech and Innovation project, the next step will be for us to work on the business plan and also to look for potential partners and funders to support the implementation of the pilot phases. Thank you.
Last but not least, Hussein, tell us what your next step will be.
Thank you very much. My next step is to find donors and funders which we want to address this GBV problem in more districts, and volunteers which will help me to find funders.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think what I'm going to do now, we've had a chance to hear back from all the project leads. I know that we I've really personally enjoyed learning more about these topics and these projects. There's lots more work to do. We want to continue to lean into figuring out this model of what the Gender Alliance can do for us individually and us as we develop and grow our own skills and networks. I think there's also lots of appetite to keep connected and to keep working on some of these projects and programs. We have the Harvest document, and we'll try and send out a bit of a summary from today's conversation and our commitments to this work. I'm going to turn it now to Elsa to help us close out this time together.
Thank you, Chi. That was really energizing to see so much of progress that came through from the last few, weeks. I know these teams have worked really hard. We had a dry run and some have had many dry runs during this time. So they've really put in a lot of effort, and with all your inputs and our inputs, they will fine tune and refine their projects. So that's great. Now I would like to invite Senta and then Marcus to just share their thoughts about what they felt, listening to all these pitches, and Senta was also at the Gender Alliance Summit. So can you just share a few words of what what you're feeling and what you're thinking?
Thanks, Elsa, for surprising me with this request, but I didn't expect it differently. No, it was very, very inspiring, and I'm amazed about how fast we move in this Gender Alliance from ideas and dreaming to actually concrete projects and to the next steps of implementing it. And again, I mean, I will not speak about me personally and how inspired I am personally to be part of this, also as a Bosch alumni and a responsive leader, etc. But from the Global Diplomacy Lab point of view, I think this is exactly the right space. We have open doors and open hearts to support these activities. Actually, I've been chatting with Lucy in parallel that this could be a common Bosch alumni network. I mean, a cross network project that we would like to take forward, the Caring Diplomacy one. But of course, if we can support otherwise, that will also be possible, I think. With the network we have, this with your fellow members in the GDL, but as I said, also cross network borders, let's say. Yeah, so thanks a lot once again, and I can't wait for the next event to happen, and I will be there for sure.
Thank you, Senta. Like I said last time, it's always comforting to me that I know where to turn to when I need some support, and nothing is impossible actually with all your collective help. So thank you again. Marcus, would you like
Yes.
to
As you can see in my face, after a starting very, very rainy, cold day in Berlin, in my village this morning, now the sun is shining in my face. And this session and this meeting, the last 1.5 hours, was so inspiring, and it also was shining the inner sun to me. I'm so inspired that I really, and Barbara and Valerie from the team of the foundation are here. I think we will start with you to think about what could be the best leverage point to support in the next step the initiative, the Gender Alliance itself, but also how could we contribute in a certain way, in a smart way, also to some of the initiatives, which is really inspiring. It's one of the most powerful network-driven activities I have seen since a long time out of these 3-4 networks. And this was just a beautiful end of this week. I'm already a little bit in the weekend with a very inspired soul and the sun in my face, as you see.
I'm so glad we got the sun out, but thank you so much, Marcus. It's really motivating for us. It's not my effort alone. There are so many of us. I don't even know what's the real number. And if I start to take names, I'm afraid I might miss out somebody and offend them. So I won't do that. But I really want to now focus on what comes next. So as you know, this has all been one big experiment. But given that it has generated so much of enthusiasm, passion, and interest, we have formed a loosely formed secretariat, just people who were interested. But we are trying to create more opportunities for everyone to participate. So don't feel like you can't share and you can't participate. So one team that is forming, and it's on the Padlet, is a communications team. So the communications, we currently have a website. So if you have skills that you want to contribute, graphic design for all these posters and the communications to make it look pretty. Currently, the BMW Foundation team has been helping us. But if you have those skills and want to help us, please let us know. We have a LinkedIn group for members. So if you haven't joined, then please, so I noticed Vipke is here. Vipke, I'm going to interrupt what I'm saying. I want you to also share. I suddenly noticed you were here and I'm really sorry. Would you like to share what you thought of all the breakout rooms and the projects that you heard?
Yeah, first of all, apologies because I was really late. So I had a nice chat with Armin, who introduced me to what happened in your breakout rooms. And I had a chance to read through the sheets, just the pitches. And I had more time in the first session some weeks ago, and I could just repeat myself and what Marcus and Senta just said. It's an amazing initiative. I have one just very sort of urgent request, i.e. the tech innovators. I just listened to you, and I want to really quickly talk to you, like Tuesday, because I'm off Monday, because there is a big call out in Germany for Digital Africa for every project to be handed in by early November. So I think we should talk about this. This is about starting off at 3 million euros. And I would like to discuss with this team, the tech innovators, if we could craft something for this call.
Thank you. Thank you, Coin.
So Firmin, it's us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the others. No, this is Digital Africa. I will send some stuff to Firmin right away because of that. And you please read, you please study this, and then we can reschedule something. I got really excited when I read this. Sorry, because I was working on the call this morning, and I thought this is really fitting. So obviously this is not GLAC money. Otherwise we wouldn't have to discuss anything like about the future of GDL or anything, but this is ministry money, but up on a call, and I think it could fit. So I see my role like this, sort of obviously like mediating and for all other groups as well, seeing where is there public money in this case out there on the German market, or if I see something on the European one, and then report that to the secretariat or to the single groups. I think that is my first or next step.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vipke. And yeah, I'm so glad I saw you and I interrupted my talk. So yeah, so next steps. Armin has posted the LinkedIn group. It's only for members, so please join in over there and keep posting over there. We have the website where all the videos thus far have been uploaded. All the blogs that we have written have been uploaded, all the information for Gender Alliance. But please write a blog. We put it on BMW, on the Global Diplomacy Lab, on all the places that we can showcase our work, your work, etc. And then the last one is thinking about the strategy. So we are now in the process of thinking, how do we want to develop the Gender Alliance? Because really we need to have a plan. We have some ideas emerging, but if you can also send in your ideas to us, we have an email, genderalliance2030@gmail.com. So please send it in there. We'll evaluate your ideas. And this is all co-creation and collaboration and partnership. So it's not one person's job or one person's role. We are all in it together. And the last one is we have 16 days of activism coming up in November. It starts on the 25th of November, right up to the 10th of December. And we have some ideas, but we'd like to hear from you. What is it that you want to do during the 16 days? Should we showcase initiatives within the network that are working on different forms of gender equality? We could do that, but then those events would have to be led by you. Or do you want to do something similar like we did around the Gender Alliance Summit, but very focused to the thematic area of the 16 days? So again, maybe we might send you a survey, but in the meantime, just write in, let us know what you're thinking, and we would love to incorporate those ideas. I want to pass it on to Chi to say if she has some last words, and then Armin, but I really want to thank everybody who made this possible, all the teams, all the partners, and of course, Chi and Armin. Chi?
Thanks, Ilse. I think I want to close by, I would love us to move a little bit and do something physical together. So maybe we could all just do a big stretch, I don't know, and like do a big virtual hug around the globe, because this is such a beautiful family and community of people, and we're continuing to learn and develop and grow this together. And also a big thank you to all the project leads for putting ideas forward and being brave and trying to help us move on this next piece of work. And maybe we'll try and end early.
And let's unmute ourselves and just give a big global clap for everyone who's been part of this.
Thank you, Ilse.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, we are right on time.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you
Have a
soon.
good weekend. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Congrats for
Thank
the
you so
work.
much. Elsa, well done. You're great.
See you soon.
Bye, Barbara.
Hi, Elsa. I'm waiting for the group photo also, if possible.
Yeah, you didn't put your video on, so I got you like with only your name.
Oh my God. It's okay. No problem. No problem.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Soon.
Thanks, Armin. Bye.
Elsa, well done. That was really good.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
Yes,
Loved it.
incredible. The only thing I missed is a little bit of music, Armin.
But when people have to focus.
Where it was a BM. Where is? Yeah, of course, very focused. But
The last time we had Thandi who made a playlist, but we couldn't play it because
No,
of
it was a
issues.
joke.
So then Chris, he actually sang "Lean on Me" and everybody joined.
Good old Chris, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was wonderful. Thank you all. Incredible, incredible. Really, very powerful. I was very much inspired. Perfect. No, what's next? What's the next meeting you plan?
The next meeting will be in November.
Okay. So let me know. I know, and I don't know if Valerie and Barbara are still here.
No,
if not,
they're left.
You are close with them in contact, because we really can think about what could be the next leverage step which we could help. Of course, I'm happy that the comp team is helping already for the webpage, but let's think about and have perhaps a talk with Valerie specifically on that for our planning, also for the budget of next year. Yes.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice weekend, all.
Bye, Marcus. Have a nice weekend.
Bye, Armin.